As you've roamed the aisles of Harbor Freight, you've probably noticed they actually do have a wide variety of welders. So here's a simple guide to help you choose which one's right for you. You've got three main lines for the Harbor Freight welders. You've got the black Chicago Electric. Yes, in the thumbnail I did have my old 90s blue, which was still a Chicago Electric. They pretty much just changed it to black and called it good. You got the green beasts, which are the titanium line. And then of course at the top of the price chain is the Vulcans. Still a lot cheaper than a Miller, but they are the most expensive welders there. Take note, all of these welders are your just regular house power, just 110 volts. Don't weld inside your house. Now, all of these machines do have their 220 counterpart, like the 170 for the Chicago Electric. I do have the 170 for the titanium, which I'll be showing you, and the 215 for the Vulcan. Yes, of course, they do have a whole bunch of TIG and stick machines, but that's for a whole nother video. They all have ground clamps. You probably wouldn't be able to tell which one was which, either the titanium or Chicago Electric. Yep, both of those come with just the cheap old ground clamps. And of course, as you can imagine, as you work up the line, you get a nicer one with the titanium 140 or 170. And this one's on the Vulcan. It does have a braided copper line connecting both leads, so you get a great connection each time. But you're paying for it. Pew pew! Hey, well, here's your MIG gun, and if I probably didn't have that nozzle right there, you probably couldn't tell the difference between the titanium and the Chicago Electric again. Yes, they have the exact same MIG gun. Yes, these MIG guns are cheap, but they do get the job done. And moving up the line, as you can imagine, the titanium 170 does have a better gun. This, I don't know, got a little better grip, a little more girth. And with the Vulcan, it is a little bigger. It does seem a bit nicer and does have a nice little spring and hook to go on it. The real thing that sets them apart is all of the settings and features. So let's dive right in. Starting off with the Chicago Electric, it is the bare bones of them all. You really just have a min-max and your wire speed, and that's it. It does say you can go up to 3/16 maxing out and a minimum of 22 gauge. And this does have a duty cycle of, who knows, it's not listed, but I think I saw somewhere that it said 20%. So that would mean you can run 2 minutes, then you have to rest for 8. The bonus to this guy is I have seen people put a 10-pound spool on there, and if you don't know what the 10-pound spool is, that's a 10-pound spool. Now the titanium line. This is honestly the little green giant that could. Don't be fooled by the size. Even though it's about half the size and weight of the Chicago Electric, this thing puts out the same power. And why is that? Well, it's because it's an inverter rated machine. Not rated, it's an inverter. In short, it takes your AC 110 house power, converts it to a lower DC voltage, and that cranks up the amps. If that's all over your head, don't worry about it. What it means to you is you get the same power out of this guy as you do a larger machine. Some of the other features that are awesome is the power cord is out the back. So if you put it up on your bench and stick it into your outlet, you really do get about 2 feet more out of this guy than you do out of the other one, even though the cords are the same length. Hopefully that makes sense. Controls. Even though you only have the 2, you actually would be very surprised about how nice it is to have this much more control than just a simple min-max button. Same max thickness with this guy, 3/16. Now the chart only says it can go down to 18 gauge, but in reality, I've actually been able to do thinner stuff with this than the Chicago. So I don't know who came up with the charts, but I do believe the 3/16. I've done that thickness before. One of the biggest drawbacks is really people complain, you can't put a 10-pound spool on here. Well, here's the deal with this machine is the portability of it is amazing. So this is the machine that I grab to go to the easy little jobs. I take it out to the neighbors. So I am more than fine not being able to put a 10-pound spool on here just because of the ease of portability on this. I mean, seriously, check out the size. And it comes with a little strap if you like that kind of stuff. Despite the similarities, I would much rather have this guy in my garage than that one. Now the titanium 170. Some of the things that makes this more expensive than that are, well, first of all, it does have a digital display. It's still an inverter, so the smaller the size, definitely a lot smaller than the Vulcan 140. Easy DINS connections for switching back and forth between your MIG and flux. And speaking of that, yes, it can MIG weld. Now this guy is exactly the same as the 140, except it have the option to kick it up to the 220 power. So really the only difference you get is you can do thicker material with the 170. A perfect size bay for a big 10-pound spool. You got not just a plastic wire feed system, but a cast system. And if you look up there, there's a little switch for a thing called a spool gun. So we're not going to get too much into aluminum, but in short, you need a spool gun to do aluminum, and this is spool gun ready, meaning the spool gun sold separately. Another quick note about the panel is it does have a 2-touch and a 4-touch setting, and it does have this little extra knob for inductance. Yet again, not going to get into inductance or the science of that, but it is a nice extra feature that you can really dial down your welds with. The Vulcan, this is the MIG Max 140, so it's still just 110 power, but this thing is a beast of a machine. This is one that you want to keep on your car, hooked up to your bottle. This isn't going to be one you're just throwing in the back of your car or truck. It really is quite a beefy machine. Now with that, it does have quite a big of transformer, so the duty cycles on this actually outweigh any of the others. If you look at the newer Millers, they kind of have these 2 handles as well, whether nice feature or not. One thing I really like about the Vulcans are the super long leads for both the MIG gun and ground clamp. Check that out! No inductance setting on this guy or 2-touch or 4-touch. It's just a straight up wire speed and voltage settings. 40% duty cycle, 5/16. Plenty of room for a 10-pound spool. You do have your MIG gun or your spool gun, as we kind of already mentioned. Sold separately, of course. It does have a cold wire feed, but you know, I honestly don't use those. I usually just turn off my gas, run the wire, and call it good. Cast wire feed system. These suckers I'm sure will last a long time. So in general, just a real big, beefy, will last a long time machine. All right, time to give you my final thoughts for all of these welders. Would I pick this guy up brand new? No, but if it popped up on the classified ads for cheap, which this one did, you betcha I'd pick it up. Probably around $60, $70, no more than that. Trust me, they have a bunch of them on there. This is the one guy that if it broke today, I'd go buy a brand new one without even a coupon. Now, granted it's Harbor Freight, so wait a week and it will be on sale. This one I'm teetering. I probably would buy it brand new just with all of the extra features you get with it, but heck, I got it on an open box deal for a couple $100s off, so win-win. This guy, the Vulcan, no, I wouldn't buy brand new just because I don't need those extra duty cycles and thicknesses for the projects that I'm doing in my garage. That may be different for you. So there you have it. There's my thoughts. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.